Welcome back to Yehoshua's Daf Yomi Shiur, where the Daf continues until the complete revelation of Mashiach ben David, Messiah, the son of David. May it be today. We left off on 63b. Today we'll be looking at 64 of Chullin, tractate Chullin, and the last line of 63b, we were talking about the signs of kosher fish and buying fish eggs from non-Jewish people. So the Gemara asks that why must we rely on someone to tell you that it's kosher? You could just inspect the eggs for signs. Apparently there are signs of kosher eggs. I'm not sure what they are, but it says that there are signs of kosher eggs. So it doesn't say what they are, and the Gemara says that if it enters your mind that the Braita is referring to the signs of fish, the Torah says explicitly that fins and scales are the signs for kosher fish. That is, in Leviticus 11:9, and rather say two are the signs of fish embryos on 64b now, 64a top, ubrei dagim, fish embryos. Fish eggs that are found in the fish innards. So I still don't understand what the signs are for fish embryos. It doesn't say, but maybe there are ways of telling from the egg if it would have fins and scales. Maybe there are ways of telling, but it doesn't say. But that's what it is. Should be looked for in any case. But we run the top of 64a. Samach Dalet Amid Aleph, and at the words, okay, so Ubrei Dagim we said, and now Vitanya. Vitanya Gabi Beitzim Elohein Simoni Beitzim. Up, here it is. The signs of the eggs. Okay, let's go. Vitanya Gabi Beitzim Elohein Simoni Beitzim Kol Shir Kaderas Vergvul Goiles Choshe Echad Bechad Yerosh Echad Chad Hoirom. I'll just read the whole thing so I can say the whole idea in English clearly, so we won't have to break it up, okay? Shnei Rashoy Kadin or Shein Rashoy Kadin Tamein Chelon Mechutz v'Chelon Mefnim Toira Chelon Mechutz v'Chelon Mefnim Tameir Chelmon v'Chelbon Me'oravin Zevazem B'Yodua Shehi Beitzat Asheret. The Gemara continues, and it is taught in the Braita about eggs, and these are the signs of bird eggs. Not fish eggs, but bird eggs. I thought they were fish eggs. Anyway, bird eggs. And any egg that narrows at the top and is rounded so that one of its ends is rounded and the other one of its ends is pointed is kosher. If both of its ends are rounded or both of its ends are pointed, they are non-kosher. If the albumen, whatever that is, albumen is on the outside and the yolk is on the inside, it is kosher. If the yolk is on the outside and the albumen is on the inside, it's not kosher. A yolk on the outside? How can that be? Alright, whatever. If the yolk and albumen are mixed with each other, it is certainly the egg of a creeping animal. Therefore, if it is possible to recognize a kosher egg by these signs, there is no need to rely on a non-Jew to say. You can just see it for yourself. Lo tzricha dichatuchois. The Gemara responds, no, it is necessary if the eggs have already been cut and one cannot know the original shape. The Gemara challenges, but let him inspect the yolk and the albumen to see which is inside and which is outside. The Gemara responds, the Braita deals with the case where the eggs are mixed in a bowl, and it is impossible to discern this. Zavnina minayu ve'otanya ein moichin beises trefas legoi. Elim kein terufa bikoro. V'yacharenu ein moichin me'en beisim trufa is bikoro. The Gemara counters, but in a case like this, where the eggs are mixed, may we buy eggs from them? Isn't it taught in another Braita, one may sell the egg of a trefa bird to a Gentile only if it is mixed in a bowl, therefore one may not buy eggs mixed in a bowl from them because they may be from trefot. If so, it cannot be that the Braita deals with a case where they are mixed, and one should be able to inspect the yolk and albumin. Ela Amar Zera, Simonim, Lav, Deraisa Di, Lo Timhachi. Excuse me. Di Lo Timhachi. Di Amar Vasi Shvoino. Svekoi saying Lividag Vivesim Didu, Ela Shvoino. Simonim Lav Deraiso. Rather, Bezerah said, the signs of a kosher egg are not valid by Torah law, as, if you do not say so, one encounters difficulty with that which Rav Asi says. There are 8 birds which kosher status is uncertain. Why is there uncertainty? Let one inspect the eggs for the signs listed in the Braita to determine whether they are kosher. Rather, learn from it that the signs are not valid by Torah law, and one may not rely on them. או חלמון מבחוץ וחלבון מבפנים ודאי טמאו. רש אחד חד, רש אחד כד. וחלבון מבחוץ וחלבון מבפנים. כמלך שלויף, לא עיני ותארו. סמוך עלי וססמה אלוהי. ססמוך עלי. תיגעו ותתעמד לדיונה. The Gemara asks, but if one may not rely on these signs with regard to what halacha is the Braita teaching them, the Gemara responds, this is what the Braita is saying. If both of its ends are rounded, or both its ends are pointed, or the yolk is on the outside and the albumin is on the inside, it is certainly non-kosher. But if one of its ends is pointed and one of its ends is rounded, and the albumin is on the outside and the yolk is on the inside, and the non-Jew says to you that it is from such and such a bird, then that bird is kosher, rely on the signs. But if he offers no specification of the type of bird, or if one simply finds eggs with these signs, do not rely on them, since there are crow's eggs that resemble those of a pigeon. Amar mar chelbon v'chelmon me'oravin ze v'zeh b'yadua she'beiz asheretz ma hilchasa Amar Rav Ukva bar Chama lo yimar she'im rikma v'nikva b'cha'adasha mitameh. The Gemara analyzes the Braita. Master said, if the albumin and yolk are mixed with each other, it is certainly the egg of a creeping animal and not of a kosher bird. The Gemara asks, for what halacha is this information necessary? Either way, the egg is forbidden. Rav Ukva bar Chama said the Braita means to say that if tissue of an embryo developed inside of it and it was perforated and one touched it, it transmits ritual impurity, provided that the embryo is at least the size of a lentil bulk, because the carcass of a creeping animal of this size is a source of ritual impurity. Ravina objects to this, but perhaps it is the egg of a snake, whose carcass does not transmit ritual impurity, even though the albumin and yolk of its eggs are mixed together. Rather, Rava said the Braita does not teach about ritual impurity, but rather that if tissue of an embryo developed inside the egg and one ate it, he is flogged on this account, of course, if he was warned and had witnesses and all that. So if someone ate it purposely, it was warned by witnesses, he's flogged on that account due to the prohibition of every swarming thing that swarms upon the earth is a detestable thing. It shall not be eaten. Leviticus 11:41. The Gemara asks, if so, why specifically mention the egg of a non-kosher creeping animal? The same would apply even for one who eats the embryo of a kosher bird as well. In either case, one is flogged at the time of Braita that the verse, every swarming thing that swarms upon the earth, top of 64b now, this serves to include chicks of pigeons whose eyes have not yet opened in the prohibition against consuming swarming things. The Gemara responds, this prohibition is by rabbinic law, and the verse cited is a mere support for it. One who eats the embryo of a kosher bird is not liable to receive lashes. Okay, we'll stop here and continue with the next Amud.